Hello and welcome back to this week's very special episode of the Living Fullness Podcast. This is the Christmas episode.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to
In case
you.
you couldn't tell it's Christmas. Christmas.
Ta-da! So we are recording this episode a few days early, or a little bit early. It'll be released a few days early, earlier than Christmas. So we're not quite on Christmas Day just yet.
No, that's right. That's right. But we are Christmas-ish.
Yes.
We are Christmas-esque.
Yes.
And this will be released on Christmas Day.
No, a few days before Christmas.
This will be released
Just said
a few
that.
days before Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Very
If
close.
I was listening, I'd have known that.
But
Okay.
he's distracted. Now, what are you drinking today?
Tea
Out of your Christmas mug.
out of my Christmas mug.
And you normally have a what in that mug?
Hot chocolate.
And you don't have a hot chocolate because...
I'm living healthy.
As if. We may have had a bit of a glitch.
We may have had a bit of a technological glitch, and it may well have been my fault.
Oh, look, neither one of us checked, but we didn't press record.
We did not press record. I did not press record.
We did not
I did
press
everything
record.
else. I was like, mic check.
It's
Yep,
true.
we can be heard. Excellent.
true.
Okay, let's do this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We got like 25 minutes in and I looked at the thing and the button's still green. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that means we have not hit record.
So we're recording again. So this is take two.
We
of the
are
Christmas
recording again.
episode, but
Take
we're
two.
pumped because you've got your tea. I've got my matcha latte.
That's right.
Which,
we're here.
if you've ever had a matcha latte before, if you're fans of matcha lattes, get in contact with me and tell me what brands of matcha lattes you like.
Yep.
Because this one has a pretty bad smell to it.
Yes.
It doesn't smell right, but it tastes really good. So give me some recommendations, people.
That must be strange.
It is.
To smell it and go, ugh, and then
Well, it's
taste it
not
and go, ugh.
Well, it's not like rotten egg kind of smell or anything. Like it's not so repulsive, but it just doesn't, it's not quite what it should be.
There you go.
And I mean, you get used to it after a while because to start off with, every time you look down, you kind of go, this looks like a kale drink or something. It looks like too healthy to be good.
Well,
it's good.
There you go. If you know of something, contact the lady. All right.
So how are you celebrating Christmas this year?
Well, I in my parish, I'll be having masses, and this is, of course, the first time I'll be a administrator in a parish doing Christmas masses.
First time you'll be an administrator.
First time, yes.
What did you say was the first time last time?
I don't know.
It was the first time for something last time.
It was
and
the
the
first
time
time.
before, it was your
I
first
think
time for something.
It was. Yeah, well, a lot of firsts. I'm under 10 years ordained. You know. So,
This is true. This is true. So there'll be lots more firsts to come.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So look, celebrating my masses in the parish, and I'll have an evening mass on the Saturday night and then a midnight mass. And I'm really looking forward to the midnight mass. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
And then a couple of morning masses the following morning. And then I'm going to go home and hang out with my family.
Yeah, which would be nice.
That'd be really, really beautiful.
Yeah, good.
So just hanging out, eating good food, enjoying one another's company, praying together, that sort of thing. Yeah. How about yourself? How are you celebrating Christmas?
So Christmas for me will be here in this house. We normally have at least 40 or so people here, and then plus extended sort of family and friends who might be in town. So we could get easily anywhere between 40 and 80 people for Christmas. So the house will be full, backyard will be full. Let's hope it doesn't rain because then we're not going to have enough space to be able to hold everyone. So just for Christmas Day, if we could just postpone the rain, that would be great. But other than that, we're probably also going to go to church as well. We haven't quite decided whether we'll do the midnight or whether we'll do the Sunday morning, Christmas Day morning. So we'll just play that by ear as the time progresses. I'm not house sitting this year, which hasn't sort of happened in the last few years. So
Sure.
I'm kind of looking forward to just being able to go and visit people again. I used to do that. Like most Christmases, I used to hop between houses because there was just so many people to go and see.
Yes.
I haven't done that for the past few years. So it'd be really nice to be able to go and do that, go and pay a few people a visit. So I'm looking forward to that.
Come and visit us.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I'm looking forward to meeting up with one of my teammates down in Albury. So I might do that, swing by.
Awesome. Very cool. So
So I guess maybe to start this Christmas episode, we've obviously talked about how we're celebrating, but let's go a little bit deeper. Let's start unraveling some stuff. Christmas can be a hard season for a lot of different reasons. It could be about relationships. There could be some really difficult relationships in our family and friend circles that perhaps we might need to be able to work through or be okay with in this season. And there's also this just space of feeling like really unprepared or underprepared as we're heading into the Christmas season as well. So maybe if we can start unpacking a little bit of that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, look, you're absolutely right. These seasons move quickly. They move fast. And when they move fast, it can be really hard for us to enter into them in any meaningful kind of way. I made this point in my homily, that in my homily at the beginning of the season of Advent, I sort of said, well, everything moves so quickly. It's like, I think in a prior episode even, I made the point, you sort of, January happens and then it's like, and you're at Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
It's like, bring. Hi, Mr. Burns. This is Jeffrey from the ATO. Okay, tax time. And then it just keeps on going, and you got Halloween, and then all of a sudden it's November, and then when it's November, you're like, Christmas is around the corner.
Yeah.
And everything just seems to go at 1,000,000 miles an hour. How hard is it to try and enter into a season meaningfully when it feels like the season is constantly getting away from us? So I think it's so important to do two things. The first is to anchor ourselves in Christ through an active prayer life. So important to have that spiritual aspect. But also I think it's really important to have something tactile, something to actually grasp onto, to remind us that we are not victims of a fleeting moment here. That in fact we are we are in this season for a reason, and that reason is Jesus Christ. High five for not only doing a rhyme, but putting a twist on the reason for the season.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. If you have to say it yourself.
Well, I do have to say so much.
Because I didn't say it.
High five myself.
This is what I have to work with.
Isn't she lucky?
Oh, dear.
So yeah.
Yes. I feel like this season can also feel really rushed, precisely because of what you were saying. The seasons are being pushed on us so fast, one after the other. But also it feels like there's a lot of events that are happening as well. I remember the very first Christmas party invite that I got this year, or the conversation that started this year. And my initial reaction to that was like, ugh, here it goes. And I caught myself as soon as I had that internal reaction. I was like, well, hang on a minute. What is that?
Yeah.
That's not the attitude I want heading into Christmas. Where did that come from? Yeah. And then sitting with it and realizing it's because I'm dreading what's coming next. I'm dreading this. Well, once one of them starts, and because I hold multiple jobs, there's going to be several Christmas parties that are going to come, and we're just going to be constantly like go, like this hamster wheel thing happening. Yeah. It's here. Like this is what I have to deal with now. This is what I have to battle for the next 4 to 5 weeks. And this is at the end of November. We're not even in December.
I get you.
And we're having the conversation of, well, let's get this Christmas party over and done with because everybody's busy in December.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to celebrate Christmas yet. Like I'm not even emotionally ready for Advent. Why am I celebrating Christmas? So we're being rushed not only with the seasons, but in all the celebrations that are meant to happen as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It happens quite quickly.
Absolutely. No, you're quite right. And look, it's so helpful for us to recall that we aren't meant to be carried away by the fleeting moment. Instead, we're called to sanctify the present moment. And we sanctify the present moment by placing our hope in the person of Christ. He carries us along, and He helps us to live in the moment, to sanctify the moment, and He helps us not to get carried away by one celebration to another celebration to another celebration without actually stopping and going, wait on, what's the reason that I'm doing this celebration? Like, it's actually possible to go to these parties, to go to these things with a different mindset because I have the hope of Jesus Christ in my heart.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
That makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess also just being mindful that, you know, for you who's either watching through YouTube or listening, if you're in the situation where you feel like, well, actually, Advent's just gotten past, like it's gotten by me. I've missed it. It's come and gone. I've done no preparation or next to no preparation. So what do I do now? Or what's the point? I've missed the boat. What's the point? If that sounds like you, please take heart. Like there is no too late when it comes to relationship with Christ. There is no too late. Sure, Christmas Day may come and go, but the relationship that we have with Christ is enduring, and He continues to seek us beyond Christmas Day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He just every moment of every day. So if we can use this moment, like if this needs to be the moment for you, pause. Just hit that pause button and go and take that moment with Christ now.
Exactly. This, you know what this reminds me of? Scrooge. From Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Here we go. If you go back and watch the last 2 Christmas episodes, he brings this up every Christmas episode.
Yes, I do.
A little obsessed.
Just a touch. Just a touch.
But you read this every year, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. With the scotch in hand.
It's all about the details.
After midnight mass. So look, but it's such a beautiful.
So for everyone who has Padre's phone number, make sure you call him after midnight and disrupt his reading. We're just all taking it in turns.
Yeah. Exactly.
Merry Christmas.
Okay.
How's that reading going? It's not going.
Please don't do that. But no, look. So when you know Scrooge at the beginning of that, Ebenezer Scrooge at the beginning of that book is you know, Merry Christmas, bah humbug. You know, very about the whole Christmas thing. But by the end of it, you know, Christmas Day is upon us, and he's able to live the spirit of Christmas. He's able to enter into the Christmas season, and it's not too late for him. You know, that's the whole point. Is that on this side of the veil, it's not too late to change things. And so, you know, like as you said, Stina, right now, you know, if we've struggled to, you know, enter into Advent and are struggling therefore to enter into Christmas, hey, it's not too late. It's not too late at all. You know, this very moment can be the moment that we say to Jesus, Jesus, help me to enter into this season.
Yeah.
And He's right there, just ready and willing to help us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just watch out for whatever comes up. Like even as you're hearing that, if there's an excuse that comes up that surfaces, something that is a barrier that's trying to stop you from doing that, just pay attention to that.
Absolutely.
And remember what that is. That's a barrier. It's a lie.
Yeah.
There's something there preventing you from going further and going either deeper into a relationship with Christ or allowing Him to encounter you in that moment. So just couch it.
Too right. So what are some practical things that we can do around that? Well, maybe take some time in the day just to speak to Jesus and just say to Him, Lord, help me to enter into this season. Help me to realize what's important in my life. Help me to arrange my priorities correctly. Yeah, it's such a simple thing, but just to carve out that little bit of time to say, hey, Jesus, I know you're there and I'm listening. It's awesome. And secondly, perhaps we can seek to cut out of our lives those things which distract us from the voice of God. You know, and it might be a sort of constant entertainment and an obsession with ourselves or some kind of toxic relationship that we might be in. Well, you know, we're able to find, you know, and this is your wisdom here, Stina, we're able to find just one thing to cut out of our lives. Just go, you know what? This is not helping my relationship with God. I'm going to ditch it today.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us one step closer to a deeper relationship with the Lord. And it helps us to enter more deeply into the Christmas season.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. There's a big difference between just ditching something and actually making a space for someone.
Yeah, sure.
So,
sure.
it's so vital to bring it down to what can I move out of the way today to make way for God today in this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. If I ditch something, I can't just leave an empty space.
No.
Because it will be filled by something else if I don't fill it with Christ.
Yeah. Exactly right.
And look, the other thing is, let's find a way to live the Christmas season. And one of the ways that I do this is that I talk about this is with a little acronym, JOY. And it's an acronym that I didn't come up with. It's an acronym that I stole from someone else. Thank you, Father Peter Murphy. And it's the acronym of JOY: Jesus, others, yourself. So let's do one thing this Christmas season that helps us to go, Jesus, thank you for coming at Christmas. Yeah. And let's engage in one activity that is at the service of other people. And let's engage in one activity that enables us to honor the reality that we are made in the image and likeness of God. To show gentleness and mercy to ourselves.
Yeah. And just bearing in mind too that those things don't have to be extravagant things. No, not at all. They don't have to. We spoke in a previous Christmas episode, we spoke about some charitable works that we can do as part of serving others on Christmas Day, finding people who already do that, who serve people who don't have family to go to or don't have homes, don't have banquets that they can put on to go and serve those people. But it doesn't have to be that. If you have other places that you have to be on Christmas Day, family obligations and so on, find a family member to go and serve.
Yeah, exactly.
Like maybe you've done your bit. Go and find somebody else and say, hey, can I give you a hand with that?
Spot on.
That's also serving another. And then also coming back to remembering who we are, why he came. Who he came for, what is our relationship with him, and remembering that dignity that we have in him.
Yeah.
I also found this season, like I remember last Christmas in the lead up to Advent, or as we hit Advent, I was really frustrated. I was so frustrated that the hamster wheel had been happening. I was so exhausted. I was tired. And now I had to enter into this season of preparation and somehow find joy in this exhaustion. And I remember sitting there thinking, I don't want this. Like, I want something more than what this is. This does not feel enough. It doesn't feel adequate. And it doesn't feel peaceful. It's not filling me with peace and joy. What else can I do? So what I actually found really helpful this year was to actually carve out space pre-Advent to prepare for Advent. To prepare for Christmas. Like this pre-season. I ended up finding a book, which I've spoken about on the podcast before, a 4-week personal retreat book, which has nothing to do with Christmas, nothing to do with Advent. It's not related to it in any way. It was a spiritual work, but not related to this season specifically. And use that as a way of preparing to enter into Advent. And so what I found is, because I'd formed this habit for 4 weeks of carving out additional time and space where I was reading something, I was reflecting, meditating, writing, and so on. It meant that by the time I had finished and Advent was starting, I was like, oh, well, now I'm ready to begin something for Advent because I've got this new habit that's already been formed, a time that's been carved out specifically for this reason that I can continue on. It's a brilliant idea. Why are we doing that?
Brilliant idea. And this wisdom can be found in both in our own church, in the Catholic Church, and also in the Anglican community. This wisdom of having like a pre-preparation day or a pre-preparation season, right? So before Lent and Advent, in the old calendars, there was actually like this pre-preparation period where the church recognized before we get into the training of Lent or Advent, we first need to kind of enter I guess more to have like a introduction into that period.
Yeah.
And so
Like a warm up.
like a warm up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's absolute wisdom in what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, I found it helpful for me. Maybe it's not going to be helpful for everyone.
Sure.
But if you were in a similar position to me where you're frustrated when this time of year hits because there isn't enough time carved out, well, maybe a pre-season
Yeah.
before game day.
Yeah, exactly.
A pre-season might be something suitable. And look, and if you're going, well, maybe how am I going to remember this for next year? Put it in your diary now. Like literally pull out your phone, pop a memo in your diary for next year, because that's the only way that I managed to put in the 4 weeks was I thought of it months ahead of time and went, oh, well, this book's come up. I'll use this book in the 4 weeks before Advent.
Fantastic idea.
Just put it in there.
Put it in the diary.
Lock it away.
Yep. Brilliant.
So another thing that happens at Christmas, and this reminds me of an imagery.
Uh-huh.
I think it's an imagery of monkeys.
Okay.
I think it's the whole where they're like covering their eyes and like one's covering their eyes, one's covering ears, one's covering mouth. Like see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Sure.
It reminds me of this imagery because I feel like there is also this thing that happens during the Christmas season, which doesn't seem to happen during, say, Easter, happens more intensely in the Christmas season, where there could be some behaviors that come up that are less than desirable that may not necessarily be coming from us, but are coming from people around us. And they would be things that we wouldn't ordinarily be okay with, but for some reason during the Christmas season, all those rules that we would ordinarily hold, the standard that we would ordinarily hold, we kind of place down as, oh, but it's Christmas, so it's okay. And so I think there's, in this particular season, this whole see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, I think we actually need to have a conversation. It'd be good for us to have a conversation around being guarded at this time as well.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, let's look at the culture that sort of surrounds us when we're in Christmas. You know, it's for some reason between the 16th of December and the 1st of January, we lose our minds, like completely and totally. You know, it's if you've ever been on the road,
right?
You know, like it's just nuts out there, man.
Just don't go on the road.
It's absolutely. You got people cutting one another off, and old ladies fighting over parking spots, and it's crazy, you know. And I actually saw that once. I walked past and I said Merry Christmas, and they gave me their own special Merry Christmas. But
oh no!
But you know, it's just. It gets nuts, you know, and it's like we just kind of forget the charity that's actually meant to mark this season. You know, it's angry shoppers, and you think about it, it's like, you know, okay, Christmas Day happens, and then Boxing Day happens. It's like, okay, we're returning stuff, we're shopping for stuff, we're looking for sales, people are pushing and shoving, and it's guys, you know, like
missed the memo,
missed the point, right? You know, it's sort of. I think it's very possible to miss the charity that we're meant to have in this season because of how busy the world around us is. And we can all get caught up in that busyness, you know, and forget the charity that we're meant to have.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, I might be sounding like Father Grinch, right? But I swear that's not what I'm trying to do. Right? I'm not trying to say don't have fun, don't have food, don't have like, I'm not saying that at all. By all means, have the Christmas parties, have the fun, have the food, get into it. You know, thoroughly enjoy the season by every and all means. But at the same time, we have to remember that these things, family, fun, food, all these things in the context of Christmas, these are awesome. And I really do mean that. They are awe-inspiring reality because they all point to the reality of the Christmas season, which is Jesus himself, you know. So we mustn't let this, what can be an awe-inspiring season and moment of our lives turn into something self-indulgent and uncharitable because we've approached the season from a point of mediocrity, from a point of allowing ourselves to be caught up in a self-indulgent culture, rather than go, okay, wait a second, what's the meaning of this season?
Yeah.
What am I in here again? What am I here for?
Yeah.
Who am I as a Christian, and who am I honoring in this period? And I think that's sometimes missing when we enter into that mediocrity. We become focused on self-indulgence. We miss the needs of others, and we don't worship God in our words, thoughts, and actions.
Yeah. And we do that self-indulgence in the name of fun.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
That's how we get away with it, or we try to get away with it.
Yeah.
Is we say, oh no, but we have to do these things because that's what's fun, and it's Christmas. We're meant to have fun. We're meant to have joy. We're meant to have happiness, and that's what this means. All these excesses have to happen in order for us to have fun. Well, hello.
Yeah.
If we don't have charity and all we have is all these excesses, well, that's vice territory.
That's right.
And if all we have is vice, we don't know how to have fun.
We don't know how to have fun. Exactly.
That's a problem.
Exactly.
So we got to learn how to have fun. We're going to be more creative.
That's an episode for a future episode. That's
2023.
2023. That's an episode for a future episode. Well done. That's an episode we should do in the future.
Yay.
Is culture and
fun.
Well, yeah, I was looking for a fancy leisure. I was looking for the word leisure.
Yes.
Yes. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So part of that mediocrity that you were also talking about there is that we also have a tendency in this season to accept whatever behavior is coming around, is happening sort of around us as well. On the one hand, we do need to be patient with people, especially if we know that Christmas is particularly hard in terms of the relationships that we might have with those that we surround ourselves with. We do need to, in the name of love, be more patient with those people. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to then accept whatever behavior as acceptable standards to live by. We don't have to compromise on that. We don't have to be okay with whatever happens in the name of patience and tolerance. There is a difference between that. And to simply say, well, we do it because it's Christmas is actually not charitable towards that person.
You're quite right.
So, an easy example that we might see is alcohol consumption, especially in the Australian culture, where we can't seem to have fun without alcohol. We don't really know how to do that. So every event has alcohol in it. Christmas, alcohol consumption just goes through the roof. And we seem to be okay with that. We seem to be okay with the amount of alcohol that's consumed and the behaviors that comes from over consumption of alcohol in the name of, it's Christmas. We only do this once or twice a year. It's Christmas. Right. It's fine. We can, it's fine if there's foul language that comes from that. It's fine if they're knocking things over and breaking things. It's fine if they're yelling and screaming because, that's fun. Is it?
Yep. No, I hear you absolutely. It's we actually have to hold our Christian standards, and live by them, and not accept behaviour which is in contrast with that. And that doesn't mean that we have to be confrontational.
No,
that doesn't mean we have to be confrontational.
No.
But I think it does mean that we have to kind of go, okay, you know what, you're doing that, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can move away from it too.
Exactly.
Confrontation means I go in there ready to battle it. Well, there is another option. You could just walk away.
Exactly.
We don't have to go in, especially going in and battling with someone who's drunk.
Yeah.
It's a losing battle.
Not a good move.
It's a losing battle.
Exactly.
So let them be. So make sure they're safe, but let them be.
Yeah. Also, we should probably also be on our guard against our main fault at Christmas. So with all the drama that can come up at Christmas, it's very possible that temptations to pride or temptations to the flesh might very well sort of come up for us. So just to give an example, like at a family argument, or a family disagreement, and these things frequently happen at Christmas, right? Well, I don't have to listen to him.
Yeah.
I don't have to listen to him.
Yeah.
I know better.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually, what if I just took a moment and I did listen? Maybe not necessarily agree.
No.
But what if I did just take a moment and listen and go, I want to get to understand better why this is your position, So I think pride can be something that does really crop up. And also because we like Christmas in the Burns household, there's normally lots of food at Christmas, heaps and heaps of food. And there's a fair bit of opportunity for gluttony there. There's a fair bit of opportunity to overindulge, right? Not that the Burns family, thumbs up overindulgence, but like the food is there, the opportunity is there, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's most people's houses at Christmas. Most people's houses at Christmas is food heavy, So we can perhaps fall prey to a bit of overindulgence in terms of food, but because sin is not a respecter of boundaries,
it's so true.
It will tend to go to other places, right? So if I overindulge here, the tendency towards sin, that concupiscible kind of tendency, is like, well, I'm going to see how far I can push this. What else can I overindulge in?
Yeah.
And sometimes that can come out in terms of other pleasures of the flesh, in terms of sexual morality, and so just being aware and on guard against what's my major fault and how might it play out in this over this season. Yeah.
So what you're saying here then, because I think that the pathway that most of us tend to take when it comes to Christmas, and with the example of food, which doesn't have to always be food, but it could be lots of other things. But if we use the example of food, the pathway that most of us tend to take is, it's Christmas, I can do lots of eating, I can, have lots of different food, I will just be a couch potato for a couple of days, lots of leftover. And then when the Christmas season is done, I will detox afterwards and I'll get my body back onto track. Yeah. What you're suggesting is, let's not take that pathway. Let's actually just moderate from the start.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that we don't get to enjoy what's in front of us. Like, still enjoy whatever's put in front, but be consciously and aware and be intentional about what we actually consume, so that we don't fall into this trap that we have to get ourselves out of.
and in fact, this is the very point that you made before, right? That is, if we have to rely on vice for fun, then we're doing fun wrong, right? Because if I overindulge in food, there comes a point where I stop enjoying food.
Yes.
There actually comes a point where I'm not enjoying this now. I'm just doing it because I can.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if we practice moderation from the start, I'm actually enjoying the food and I'm enjoying the company, and I'm enjoying the season, precisely because my senses are still at their height.
Yes.
They're unencumbered,
Yes.
And so I'm able to experience the goodness and the glory of God as it is physically manifest. And it's just wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Gold.
So that brings us to the end of our episode.
Yeah, that's kind of it. There was a lot of different things in there.
There was a lot of different things,
and we went into quite a bit of different stuff in that. But yes, that does bring us to the end of the Christmas episode, which means that we have one more episode left before the end of the season of this episode of this season, end of the podcast season. For this year. That's the word.
Season.
For this year.
Year.
Yeah.
Year.
Yeah.
Yes, year. Do you believe that? 2022.
Yeah. Big year. But yes, know that we are praying for you guys.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Especially in this season. So the way that we like to end off our Christmas episodes, we don't do a truth, beauty and goodness, because we all know who the truth, beauty and goodness of the Christmas season is.
Too right we do.
So instead, we'll finish this Christmas episode with a Christmas prayer.
All right. Almighty and ever-living God, we thank you for your goodness, for your willingness to enter into our darkness, for your willingness to penetrate the the innermost parts of ourselves, those parts that perhaps we don't want to talk about. We thank you for your willingness to enter into a suffering condition for us. Without you, Lord, where would we be? We would still be in darkness, still pining for a Savior. But because of you, that deep desire on our hearts to be saved and to be brought into the light has come to fulfillment. And you invite us now always to be in that light and not to return to the darkness. Please always give us the wisdom through your Holy Spirit to prefer the light to the dark. We pray for those who in this Christmas season do not have family or friends to be with. We ask that you be with them, Lord, that you inspire their hearts with the knowledge of your love for them, and that you might lead them to connect with others in a spirit of service. We ask for blessings upon those charitable institutions at this time that are serving those who do not have the means to have Christmas, who do not have the means to celebrate in the normal way that we would with food and shelter. We ask, Lord, that you might please bless those institutions and those people who are without shelter, without food. We ask also, Lord, for you to bless all those who are ill this Christmas. And in particular, I raise to you Father Reese Beltrami and Father Peter Thompson, who are two very dear friends of this podcast, that you might be with them, Lord, in their illness. We ask you also, Lord, to give your blessings to every listener of this podcast, to lead them into a deeper relationship with yourself, Lord, and to help them always to live life to the full. Come down upon us, Lord. Bless us. Fill us with your love. Amen.
Well, thank you very much for joining us for this week's episode, and we will catch you next week for our final episode for this season.
Until then,
have a very Merry Christmas.